is there something wrong into the United States? Because the world is witnessing the violent events that is coming out of the United States, and it has been happening since 2020. It has happened in the 2020 when the BLM protest actually broke out. And during the BLM protest, the violent protester, burned down the houses, burned down the cities after cities. They looted shops, they looted houses, they looted everything in their path, destroyed everything in their path. So that was not the last time the United States actually witnessed such a violent protest. After that, after the end of the elections 2020, there was an riot that occurred just at the end of the 2020 elections, the Capitol Hill riot. It is popularly known as Capitol Hill riot because the rioters raided the Parliament House of the United States. That was not a very good looking examples for a country which holds the crown of the democracy, holds the crowns of the human rights, and holds the crowns of the so many other good things and the good books. So for a country where the democracy is the epitome of the country's ethos, and there the democracies are being muzzled. So we are seeing very disturbing images, we are seeing very disturbing events in the United States. Because we know that in democracy, there is no place for the bullets or the violence, where the violence are very prevalent. In the United States, they need to exercise their rights through ballots. They've chosen their own president, that is Joe Biden in 2020. Even after choosing their president they wanted to choose, they started regretting because of the presidential policies, because the presidential policies of Joe Biden has increased the prices of the goods, the daily used goods. So that is why the peoples are now getting frustrated. And on the other hand, on the Republican side, there is a Donald Trump, who was the president, 45th president of the United States, who was the president of the United States from 2016 to 2020. And this year, he's running for the presidency again. So, but his act is not being liked or not being encouraged by a sections of media, which is being addressed by a sections of media as a left-wing or the communist media. So the sections of media which calls themselves the leftist, they are being addressed by the left as a right-wing or the populist or nationalist media houses. So in this media war, or the war between the political parties, the vicious words are being exchanged. So as a result of that, the students, those who are still in the colleges or just passed out of the colleges, their brains are being vitiated. They are being influenced very badly. So therefore, recently on 14th, the boy named Thomas Matthew Crooks, he is only 20 years old boy. He tried to assassinate the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump. And he shot 8 bullets, and the Secret Service, those who were there, they did not shoot until he fired 8 bullets. So you can see that there are some questions that are being raised by the peoples, that what is going on and what are the Secret Service was doing at that time, and what was their plan to protect the president of the United States, who used to be the president and the presidential nominee of 2024. So there are so many questions are being raised, and all the things we will going to discuss in this topic, that what are the security gaps that led that boy to get into that situations, and why that boy was encouraged. How that boy was encouraged, that is not known to anyone, because the motive of the boy is not known to anyone. He was shot dead by the Secret Service after he shot 8 bullets. And there are so many other new facts are coming out, that there were not only one shooter. There were actually 2 or 3 shooters. That is the assumptions is being made by the experts, and we will going to discuss all the things that what it was there, what are the things are being discussed by the people, those who are experts. So now to discuss this thing, that who was responsible for the secret service. The head of the secret service is Kimberly Chialte. She is the secret service. And before getting into her, we need to discuss that how many assassinations has been done by the people or the particular individual or on several presidents of the United States, and assassination attempts where the president survived the shootings. So assassination attempts and the plots on the president of the United States has been numerous, ranging from the early 19th century to the 2020s. So here are the list of the president, those who have been killed by the particular individuals, and the list comes with the Abraham Lincoln. He was fatally shot by the Wilkes Booth on April 14, 1865. In 1881, after the Abraham Lincoln, the James A. Garfield was shot by the Charles J. Goytu. Then after Garfield, 20 years after the Garfield, William Mackay was shot by the Leon George. And then in 1963, 62 years after that, John F. Kennedy was shot dead by the Lee Harvey Oswald. And there is a very suspicion about this John F. Kennedy assassination. There are so many theories, the conspiracy theories, that CIA was involved. Some says that the KGB was involved. Some says that the Cuban cabal, communist cabal, was involved in assassination of the John F. Kennedy, because there are some questions. There are very serious questions that have been raised, because the Lee Harvey Oswald, those who assassinated the president, he never stood trial. It is a surprising thing that the man who killed the president of the United States never stood trial, and he later was shot dead by a disgruntled nightclub owner, and his name is Jack Leon Ruby. He shot Lee Harvey Oswald. So there are some questions. It is a very famous assassinations, and around which there are several theories. That is actually the conspiracy theories, that these are the things and these are the factors, those who are affecting that. Some says that the Lee Harvey Oswald was just a pawn. Someone else was behind that, and who are those persons? Nobody knows, because the investigations came to an halt after the assassinations of Lee Harvey Oswald. Now we have to go through the names, those on which the assassination attempts were conducted, but those presidents survived. And the first name is Franklin Roosevelt. Roosevelt was shot, but he survived. Then Henry Truman. Then Gerald Ford. Ronald Reagan, 1981. Theodore Roosevelt. And there is a famous assassination of the John F. Kennedy's brother, the Robert F. Kennedy. The John F. Kennedy's brother, Robert F. Kennedy, was killed in the 1968 in Los Angeles, because he was the candidate. He was the candidate for the presidential candidate in that year, in 1968. So now in this year, his son Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running as an independent candidate for the office against the Trump and the Biden. He is also in the race. That Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is also in the race to be the president of the United States this year. So you can say that there are several presidents on whom the assassination actually successfully conducted, and some was unsuccessful. So there are things that are very messy in the United States. Now we will going to talk about who is Kimberly Chialte, and we need to know that her background, where she came from. She is a very experienced Secret Service agent, because she joined Secret Service in 1995, and she was there for the several vice president and the presidential protective services, because she was involved in the evacuations of the vice president Dick Cheney on the September 11 attacks. So when the 9/11 attacks happened, then the Dick Cheney, the vice president, was removed or evacuated by her, Kimberly. And in the Obama administration, when she was assigned to the VP Protective Division, who was the VP at that time? The VP of the President Barack Obama was Joe Biden. So she was protecting Joe Biden. And from 2019 to 2022, Mrs. Kimberly served as a senior director of the global security at the PepsiCo. So that is why, and PepsiCo, where she was involved in the risk management and the risk mitigations. But you can see the Elon Musk tweet that what he has wrote about her, because the peoples of the United States, because he is a very famous person, owner of the Tesla and the owner of the SpaceX and also the owner of the X. So that is why he said in his tweet that, so before being in charge of protecting the president, she was guarding the bags of Cheetos because she was working with PepsiCo. And she was appointed as a 27th director of the United States Secret Service on September 2022. And before that, in 2021, the US President Joe Biden awarded Mrs. Kimberly a presidential rank award for exceptional performance. And look at her performance. On her watch, the President Donald Trump was almost dead. The bullet brushed off his right ear. So you can see the differences over there. She has experience of over 25 years, but her service has left several gaps through which that man, the Thomas Crooks, actually find some place to shoot 8 bullets on the former president. And she also served as an assistant secretary for the intergovernmental affairs at the Department of Homeland Security in Obama administration. And Trump says that the Secret Service, and during the tackling of Mr. Trump, the Trump says that the Secret Service knocked his shoes off when they rushed on the stage. And the agents hit me so hard, and in the words of the Mr. Trump, and I quote that, the agents hit me so hard that my shoes fell off and my shoes are tight, and they took him out with one shot right between the eyes. And after that, he is saying that they did a fantastic job and it is a sorrow for all of us. So Mr. Trump actually praised the Secret Service for saving his life. But how on earth someone find a gap and shoot on the former president of the United States? That mistake has to be admitted by Miss Kimberly. And in her interview, and the whole United States is saying she has to resign, but she was adamant not to give his resignation to the president. She said she will not going to resign. So she will going to stay. And I need to say something about her, because when she became the head of the Secret Service, then she said that she will going to increase the women workforce in the Secret Service by 30% by 2030, according to the program called 30 into 30 initiative. So you can see there were so many women Secret Service agents, those who you can see in the videos and the photos that they cannot holster their weapons. Their gear were falling to the ground. They were erratic, fearful. They were showing no force, no composure. They were not ready to protect the president, the VIP of the United States. You are a very important person, because he is the presidential candidate and he used to be the president of the United States. So you can clearly see the gaps into the Secret Service. So he has to came out with an answer, and I think he will going to give, and we will going to get the answers from her when she will going to face the committee, the Senate committee, or a committee. I do not know. I think on 2020 on 22 this month she will going to face a committee, that how she has missed those details of protecting the former president Donald Trump. So you can see that. So now the world leaders, those who have came out to support or to condemn the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Now first we will going to see the tweet of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, what he is saying. He says that, and I quote, "Deeply concerned by the attack on my friend." You can see the keyword friend, because the relationship between Mr. Modi and the Trump was very good. Their bonhomie was in front of the world, and they were seeing at that time India's relations with the United States what at its peak, and I continue his words that the former President Donald Trump strongly condemned the incident. The violence has no place in the politics and the democracies. Wish him speedy recovery. Our thoughts and the prayers are the family of deceased and those injured and the American people. See, this is what Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, said. And now the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni expressed the solidarity with the Trump and condemned the violence, because this was very wrong. Whoever did that, I mean the Matthew Crooks, who did that, he did it very wrong. Now you can see the tweets of Keir Starmer. He has now been elected as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And his tweet says that I am appalled by the shocking scene at the President Trump rally, and we send him and his family our best wishes. And the political violence in any form has no place in our societies. And my thoughts are with all victims of this attack. Now, Viktor Orban, he is the Hungarian leader, Hungarian Prime Minister, and he says, my thoughts and the prayers are with the President Donald Trump in these dark hours. And he has completed his tweet very short, because he is in very tight his country is in a very tight geopolitical position, because the war is going on in the east of the Europe, which is in Ukraine. Russia has invaded Ukraine, and he is in a very tight position because he is trying to hedge his bets. He needs energy, so that therefore he is having the very good relationship with Russia, which the Western countries do not want him to, but he has to, because otherwise the energy cost in his country will going to peak. Now the Benjamin Netanyahu has praised Donald Trump, and he is also shocked, and I think he came up with a video message which is there. You can go back to his tweets, and you can listen to what he says, and this is there, that like all Israelis, my wife Sarah and I shocked by the horrific assassination attempt on the life of the President Donald Trump. This wasn't just an attack on the Donald Trump. This was an attack on the candidate for the presidency of the United States. This was an attack on the America. It was an attack on democracy. It was an attack on all democracies. On behalf of myself, my family, the government, and the people of Israel, we wish President Trump a speedy recovery, continued good health, and continued strength. So, and Mr. Netanyahu's relationship with Donald Trump is very strong, because he was the president. He was the first president who recognized Palestine as who recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. That is why he is very popular. Donald Trump is very popular in the United States. But Donald Trump is not very popular among the media, those who are left-leaning. Sometimes the peoples of the United States call them communist media or legacy media. So when the shot was fired at Donald Trump, they started avoiding to use the words called the assassination. So you can clearly see that what are the headlines they use. The Washington Post used that the Trump escorted away after loud noise at the Pennsylvania rally. So you can see that what their headline is. The NBC News, the MSNBC, sometimes it is called MSNBC. The Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after popping noise hard at his Pennsylvania rally. Popping noise. You can see the differences, that how hateful that Mr. Donald Trump among these leftist media. And now the Newsweek is saying the MAGA responds with the outrage after Donald Trump injured at the Pennsylvania rally. They have no sympathy for the President Trump because President Trump is not a good person according to them, according to these media houses. That is why they have came up with these kinds of headlines, and they did not bother to use the assassination attempt. And now the Trump removed, and you can see the CNN. Trump removed from the stage by the Secret Services after loud noise startles the former president. Also crowd. See, this is a laughing headlines. If something happened with President Joe Biden, I wish nothing will going to happen, but they readily came up with something very attractive, they will going to use their words to get the vote for the Democratic Party. Like the way they are using the words for the Trump, they are not interested to address the real issues, that address the facts. They are twisting the facts. They are just saying that he was not in the position of being assassinated. They are trying to say that. So you can clearly see the headlines of these things. And the Elon Musk have also tweeted that this is the New York Times Sunday special. The test of the leadership and the betrays America. There is no sign of the assassination news on the front page. The assassination attempt of Mr. Trump should have dominated the front pages of every newspaper of the United States. It has dominated. The news has dominated the first page of every newspapers around the world except the United States. This is very interesting, that how much hate is there for the Donald Trump in the legacy media. According legacy media, I'm saying the legacy media because there are so many other media houses. They are saying that the legacy media or the communist media or the leftist media, there are so many other individuals, those who are addressing their media as such. So that is why I'm saying that. Now look at the Washington Post. Washington Post is comparing Donald Trump with Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was responsible for the genocide of 12 million Europeans, including 6 million Jews. So what Donald Trump did? Did Donald Trump kill 12 million or 15 million people around the world? Is he responsible for killing anyone in the United States or in the world? Then why they are portraying the Trump's image portraying or comparison the Trump's image with the Hitler, the most vicious man ever born on earth. John Cleese, those who are familiar with the Hollywood or the Bollywood movies, you will going to see the name the John Cleese. John Cleese compared the Donald Trump to the Adolf Hitler. So you can see the contrast of the differences between the Donald Trump's idea of making America great again and these people's idea of staying where the United States is. They do not want the America the great again. The way they are writing their headlines. Now the Bloomberg is saying that the Trump's Hitler fascination is an ominous echoes of 1930s. Now the Guardian, the British newspaper, the Reichstag, what does Trump really have in common with Hitler? Now the ABC News, the Donald Trump's history with Adolf Hitler and his Nazi writing analysis. What is Donald Trump's history with Adolf Hitler? Nobody is talking about the Prescott Bruce, who actually was responsible for investing into the wire into the world, and with the help of some other peoples. I'm not naming them right now because I'm not discussing the Prescott Bush over here. But the Americans need to know who the Prescott Bush was and how he has invested into the war, how he has invested Adolf Hitler in an indirect way, not in a very direct way. But according to the Enemy Acts, the organization in which the Prescott Bush was involved, they were all banned to do the business in the United States and around the world. After that, all the organizations was banned. So nobody is talking about Prescott Bush. Nobody is talking about the other people, those who were involved into the other very heinous act. But the Donald Trump, those who have established this peace in the Middle East, now talking about the violence. What the Donald Trump did, what violence Donald Trump actually committed to be compared with the Adolf Hitler, the most vicious man in the history of the human beings, in the modern human beings. So they do not have any answer. They just write garbages and other things. You can see that the people, those who were writing those things, when you will going to go get into their profile, then you will going to find out whom they are associated with, that what are the ideology they are associated with. You will going to find everything. The people, those who are writing these articles, you will going to find the backgrounds of these peoples. Then you will going to find that why they are writing this. Now we will going to talk about who the Thomas Matthew Crooks is. The Thomas Matthew Crooks is a 20-year-old boy, only 20-year-old boy, who vitiated his mind, who encouraged him to take a shot at the former president of the United States. He is only 20 years old, but how mature he is to take the decisions that he have to shoot a president only to maintain the status quo of the United States. What is that? Who is Thomas Matthew? Let me tell you who is Mr. Cook. According to the law enforcement officers, told to the another newspaper, which is AP, Associate Press, that the bomb making materials were found inside the Crooks' vehicles. You can see his plan. There were also the bomb making materials found at his home. He was a very bright student. The Crooks was a very, very bright student. When you will going to see that why I am saying that he is a bright student, because he owned something in his school. In his days in the colleges, and he owned something called the 2 dozens of the students from the schools earned the $500 Star Award from the National Math and the Science Initiative. He owned that, and you can see that his relationship with BlackRock. This is not my say, because someone tweeted that, so I'm sharing with you that his relationship. This is a discovery of the BlackRock and the Trump shooter, the Matthew Crooks, featured in their program. This is an allegedly shot from the building 3. So he used the AR-15 rifle, semi-automatic rifle, which was registered which was registered to his father. The weapon in the United States is very easy to get, because being in someone from the other country, I do not have any idea that why being in citizens of a nation, of one of the most protective nation on earth, where the peoples need the guns to protect themselves in their homeland. What is the reason behind it? There is something that is encouraging the Americans to have the guns, because the uses of the gun culture has increased in the United States these days. And the Crooks graduated from the Bethel Park School in 2022. So he was recently graduated. He was also working with some nursing houses, because he get the job because he does not have any records, any ill-fated records, no criminal record, no traffic rule violation record, and there is also no record of him the serving in the military. He also was not involved in military services. So who encouraged him? Looks like someone encouraged him, but according to the FBI, he was working alone. But how FBI came to an conclusions and they say the population of the United States that he was working alone. They has to give some reason, or they did not complete their investigation. Before completing their investigation, they came to an conclusions that they were working alone. I mean, Matthew Crooks was working alone. What was the proof behind that? And there is a interesting fact that came out after the investigation that Crooks was a registered Republican, although he never voted for, because his voting age was this year. He was about to vote for someone of his own choice. We do not know that, but surprisingly, he made a $15 donation to Progressive Turnout Project, a Chicago-based political action committee that supports the Democratic candidates for the public office and the claims to advocate for key Democratic constituencies, that the young peoples and the protecting the rights of the young people, minorities, and the low-income people. So you can clearly see that there are some suspicious activities was going on in his mind. Nobody knows what was going on because his motive was not clear, because investigation agencies had not been came up with a conclusion then what was the motive behind him to take a shot at the Donald Trump. So FBI is investigating this event, and we have to wait for the FBI to come up with an conclusive report. And we are raising the question because we have the right to raise the question. That is why we are raising the questions. But FBI has to come clean that what was the motive behind that, who encouraged him. If he was encouraged him, then how on earth he climbed up a roof which was in the vicinity of where the Donald Trump was giving the speeches to the people. So where there was no snipers, where there was no one to protect, when there are people, those who are complaining that there was someone with the gun, why Secret Service or the law enforcement agencies did not took the prompt actions? So they needed to take the prompt actions, but there are some tweets. I do not claim it is a credible source. There is no credible source. That some saying that some there are some YouTube channels and there are some conspiracy theorists, we could say so, because the Secret Service snipers took 42 seconds to shot Matthew Crooks, because before that he shot eight bullets fired. 8 bullets were fired from the Matthew Crooks gun. After that he was shot by the Secret Service snipers. So there are some suspicious activity, there are some suspicions, but we do not know that. And the Crooks social media profile does not contain the threatening language, nor have they found, the FBI found any history of the mental health issue. When the name of the Matthew Crooks came up, then there were some diplomats and there are some media channels, those who came up with an idea that he has some mental issues. That is why he came up with these ideas. And in these pictures, I'm just trying to show you that this is the warehouse where the Matthew Crooks took the position to take a shot on Donald Trump, and he was only 137 meters away. And number 2, this is the number 2 position where the snipers, the Secret Service snipers were there, and they were looking directly at the shooter, but they did not took the shot. But why they did not took the shot? Because if something suspicious is going on, suspicious because he have a gun. If he is having the gun and they knew that there were no one is there, then why they did not took the shot at first? When they saw the image, they saw the face of the Matthew Crooks in that warehouse, then why they did not took the shot? They should have took the shot when they saw the Thomas. So they did not. And there are some theories, there are some, obviously the blame game has begun. So as a result of blame game, there are some suspicious activities has been pointed out by some peoples, by some individual investigators of different news handlers, and they are saying that according to the audio forensics suggest as many as 3 weapons fired at the Trump rally. So there were 2 shooters according to this forensic investigation, that there may have been another shooters at another point of time. And first 3 shots were consistent with the alleged weapon A. Alleged weapon A means the shooter, the first shooter was Thomas Matthew Crooks, and he is identified as A. And the next was the 5 consistent with the alleged weapons of B. B is, I think in this case, is the sniper, Secret Service sniper. And the final is the acoustic impulse was emitted by a possible weapon C. This is the suspicious weapon that nobody knows what was that. So it was analyzed by the Kathleen Grigoras, who is the director of the National Center for the Media Forensic at the University of the Colorado in Denver. And there was another person named Cole Whitecotton, the senior professor of the research associate at the same institute. He also came up with the same theory, that there might have the presence of the second shooter. So as a backup plan, nobody knows what was there, because the investigation agencies are still investigating. When the investigation will come to an end, then FBI will come up with a details report. They will let the world know that what actually happened and what are the steps needed to be taken by the Secret Service agents, and after came up with that, the next steps will be taken. Now, this is the ill-fated man who was killed at this rally. He did not do anything, but he was there. He was there for the Trump, but he got killed. So you can say that there are very sad events that actually happened on 14th. Now, obviously, you can expect the blame game from that event, because the Secret Service actually failed to cover all the roofs that needed to be covered by the Secret Service agent. They left that roof according to them, for the law enforcement of the local police. The local police or the local law enforcement services was responsible to take those roofs. According to the Secret Service, they were not responsible for that roof. So you can see that the blame game is very obvious and very much common when something bad happened for a country. Now you can see that some comments from a person who was the presenter of the BBC Radio 4. His comment, you can see his comments on the Twitter, and now this tweet is deleted. Obviously, it has to delete. And he says that if I was Biden, I would hurry up and have Trump murdered on the basis that he is a threat to the American security. How Donald Trump is a threat to the American security? No one is explaining to the people of the United States that why Donald Trump is a threat to the American security, to the American democracy, to the freedom of speech, to the freedom of movement, or anything that is related to the freedom. So no one is explaining anything, but they are saying that Donald Trump is responsible for threatening the democracy of the United States. Now you can see the tweet of the Elon Musk. He fully endorsed the President Donald Trump, and he have pledged $45 million every week for the presidential campaign of the Mr. Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump. You can see that how much support that the Donald Trump is getting from the elite groups. The elite groups are, as I am saying, that these are the rich people, and that they donate for the political parties in the United States, and it is legal in the United States. And 45 million is a pledge. You can see the pledge, not a donation. So they have pledged, and nobody knows how that will going to happen, how they will going to give that money. And now now these are the tweets. These are the tweets from the Russia, and not tweet. There are no presence of the tweets. These are the comments from the Russian Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, and he says that after numerous attempts to eliminate candidate Trump from the police arena, the using first legal instruments, courts, prosecution, and the attempts to politically discredit and comprise the candidate, it was obvious to all outside observers that his life was in danger, because the world was witnessing the character assassination of Mr. Trump, because Mr. Trump was dragged into the court in a hush money trial, into an rape trial, and different kinds of other trials, and the peoples, those who are not endorsing Trump, they were trying to remove him from the ballots, and they were trying to declare him as an illegitimate presidential candidate to free the path for the Joe Biden. So the character assassination was going on since he lost election in 2020. She was looted. She was looted by using the court system, by using the justice system. They in this case, the Democratic Party has weaponized the Department of Justice system, and they use different kinds of tactics to remove Trump from the ballots, to remove Trump from the expected presidential nominee. So everything they have tried. So that is why the Kremlin said that this was an obvious for the Donald Trump. This was an obvious for someone like Donald Trump, that his life was in danger. So the comment is very common, and now I'm just saying that ISKCON is a very, very big organization, is one of the massive Hindu organization, the Sanatana organization of India, and they are working all around the world. And according to their spokesperson, the Radharaman Das, they have said that the Lord Jagannath saved Donald Trump. Why? Because they are saying that because in 1976, when the Jagannath Jatra, Jagannath Rath Jatra was about to organize, they were not getting the permissions from the New York City department. So that is why Donald Trump organized for the rally of the Rath, for the rally of the Jagannath, and he helped that rally to be organized. That is why he was blessed. That is why the Radharaman Das is saying that the Lord Jagannath has saved Donald Trump. Now this is the tweet. This is the tweet from the Time Algebra, and he is tweeting the words of the Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who is the Agricultural Minister of India, and he is saying that the foreign hands is likely behind the BJP losing the Lok Sabha polls, because they are. Why I am adding this tweet? Because in this year elections, India's elections, Lok Sabha elections, the people of India have witnessed that there were so many foreign hands, those who were involved. They were not directly involved, but they were involved with the help of the people, those who were working as a snake within the country. They were helping the anti-social or anti-national groups to came up with a head and to get elected into the Lok Sabha. That is why the country has seen the rise of the Khalistan movement, which was actually encouraged by Canadian President Mr. Trudeau. He is encouraging the violence, he is encouraging the assassinations, he is encouraging every vicious thing against the Indian government. So that is why that there was several foreign influence in the Indian elections, and that is why the several trend is being observed into the elections of the United States. That is why the same cabal, those who were influencing the election, Lok Sabha election of India, they are also trying to influence the presidential election of the United States. So I'm just stating the facts. Nobody knows what is going to happen, what will going to happen in the future, who will be the president. I'm not trying to influence the election of the United States, but I'm just trying to stating the fact. But people of the United States has to see that what is there for them and what they have to do. It is up to their consensus that what they're trying to do. So this is the end of the topic. If you have any questions, then please ask me on my comment sections. I will going to give you the answer. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.